Congratulations on getting this far. This is a new section called Control Flow and Loops, and in this section we'll be taking a look at some new methods such as if-else statements, and we'll be taking a look at operators, switch statements and various types of loops. And as usual, we'll throw in one or two mini challenges into there so you can put into practice what you've been learning and see how it works in real life examples. So the first video we're going to get started with is called if statements and comparison. In JavaScript and many other programming languages, we can often deal with a lot of data such as numbers and values, and we often need a way to compare more than one value to another and decide upon an outcome. And JavaScript provides us with a way of comparing called comparison operators. And then the if statement tests to see if a condition is true, and if that condition is true, then it runs some code. So let's take a look at some examples. So because we're in a new section, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll call this folder Control, Flow and Loops. And then I'm going to go into one of the previous videos and just copy any of those and then paste it in just so we've got a starting point. And then rename this if statements and comparison. And then open up this in brackets or your text editor. Just drag that into there and then change the title in the index page. So in my case, it's if statements and comparison. And then remove the code between the script tags. And there we go. And we don't need that either. Okay, so to get started, we're going to take a look at a simple comparison just to compare two variables. So variable A equal to 10 and also variable B equal to 20. So we're going to start with a simple if statement just to check if the value of A and B is the same. So to get started, we use the if keyword and then a set of brackets, and then after that a pair of curly braces. So with an if statement, between the brackets here we put a condition to test. So in our case we want to test if A is equal to B. So let's just put that in there. So A, and then 3 equals, and then B. So if you remember, the 3 equals check if the values are equal value and also equal type. So let's check if A is equal to B, and then if it is, we want to do a document write, and then just print some out to the browser just to let us know that the condition is true. So I'm just going to write condition is true, and just to make it a little bit bigger, let's put some level 2 heading tags in there. So H2 before and after, and then let's open that up in the browser and see what happens. Okay, so we'll get nothing showing in the browser because the condition is not true, because A is not equal to B. So if we just change both the values to be the same and then refresh, we should now get the message condition is true. So the if statement is all working correctly. And as well as the 3 equals, there's many different other comparisons we can use. We mentioned early on that using 2 equal symbols, we'll check if A and B is equal value but not equal type. For example, one could be a string and one could be a number. If we want to check if the values are not equal, we use a exclamation mark and then an equal symbol. So let's just change that to be not equal, and we should still get the condition is true, which we do there. So this checks for the value. If we wanted to check for the value and type, we could use 2 equals and the exclamation mark, and this means not equal value or type. We can also use less than or greater than. So if A is greater than B, which it is, the condition is still true. If A was less than B, this should now be blank because the condition is false. And combining the less than and greater than with a equal symbol means if A is less than or equal to B, then run this code between the braces. And exactly the same with the greater than. So if A is greater than or equal to B, the condition is true. So let's refresh that. This is true because A is greater than B. So if B was also 20, so they were equal, we should also still get condition is true. Okay, good. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm just going to show you a quick example use of how this can be used in a real life program. So I'm going to just check if a user is logged in and also check the user's name. And an if statement could check if a user is logged in and then print to the browser a welcome message to that logged in user. So with a variable such as logged in, I'm going to set this to a Boolean value of true. And this can be either true or false. And then a variable which stores the user's name. So I'm going to set mine to Chris. And then just as before, we'll create a if statement. So if we just want to check if a user is logged in, we can just check if logged in. We don't need to use any comparison operators such as equals because this is already set to true up in the variable. So if the user is logged in, let's create a message for that user with a document write. And this can be as simple or as complicated as you want. So I'm just going to create a welcome message to that user and then add onto the end of that welcome message the variable name of user. So this should say welcome Chris. And then let's open that up in the browser. And there we go. So we get the welcome message because the user is set to logged in. If you change this to be false and then refresh the browser again, we should lose the message because this condition is no longer met. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense to you now. And if it doesn't, just take a look at some of the examples that we just used and try and get your head around it before we move on to the next video, where we'll build on the if statements by taking a look at if-else statements.